Muhammad Ali once said, "It isn't the mountains ahead that wear you out, it's the pebble in your shoe. It's that small, persistent annoyance that never seems to go away. It's that low-level discomfort, dissatisfaction, or frustration that nags at you. It's that feeling that something just isn't quite right, that something's off." And if you are living with a pebble in your shoe, with that constant nagging discomfort, maybe you've tried the Band-Aid solutions, you've tried the thicker socks, you've tried walking less, but none of those solutions are working because none of them are addressing what the pebble is telling you, which is that you need to remove the pebble from your shoe. The only problem is that in this analogy, the shoe is your life and the pebble is something that just isn't working anymore. And it isn't as simple as just removing a rock from your shoe. But that pebble has a very important message for you, and that is that something needs to change. If you keep moving forward like this, over time, that pebble is going to wear you down. It's going to become an open wound that you can no longer ignore. And I was in this exact position a few years ago. I had a pebble in my shoe, and it was telling me that my career needed to change. And I tried the Band-Aid solutions. I got my dream job in my dream city in the hopes that it would make that discomfort go away. I didn't want to have to take off my shoe and remove that pebble and dismantle my life in the way that I knew I needed to. And so I tried to ignore it. I tried to put the Band-Aids over it, but over time that pebble did its job and it wore me down to the point where I could no longer ignore the discomfort that I was experiencing. I got to the point where I was so uncomfortable in my job, in my dream city, that I would come home from work exhausted. I would eat takeout too much. I was overweight and out of shape and I was uninspired, and I constantly daydreamed about quitting and being able to do something else. So that pebble had done its job and I was finally ready to listen and acknowledge that something needed to change. So you can ask yourself, what does your pebble look like? What does that constant discomfort, frustration, or dissatisfaction look like in your life? What is the source of it? What is that pebble trying to tell you about something that needs to change in your life? And this pebble is really telling you that you've overstayed your comfort zone, that it's time to enter a new season of growth, and it's time to take on the next phase of life. And for a lot of us, this can be difficult to admit because there's nothing objectively wrong on paper with our life. It checks all the boxes, it's successful, it works, and yet we still find ourselves feeling discomfort all the time. And this was my experience as well. My life checked all the boxes. I had reached the level of success that society praises. I was a mid-level engineer. I made 6 figures. I had a good job, good work, good coworkers, benefits. I had all of that going. And yet I still felt this pebble in my shoe. I still felt this nagging discomfort all the time. And I was being called to that next journey, to that next phase of growth. And I had been so distracted and caught up in being an engineer and trying to put those Band-Aid solutions over my discomfort that I hadn't realized that I was the one that was changing and that I was ready for a new phase of life and that my soul was ready to grow into who I'm ultimately going to become. And I was ready to enter that next phase. So if you're experiencing this as well, if you have that overwhelming sense of discomfort despite how successful or how great your life is, then that means it's time to enter the next phase of growth, whatever that looks like for you. So if you're ready to face that discomfort and to figure out how to finally get that pebble out of your shoe, here's what you've got to do. First thing is to get really honest and tune in to what that pebble is telling you. What is it trying to tell you about your life? For me, it was really clear. It was time for me to change my career. And for you, it may not be that drastic. Maybe you have just been at the same level for too long. You've stagnated. It's a little too rinse and repeat and boring. And all you need to do is just up level, take on that next challenge and just grow a little bit and get out of your comfort zone. And so for you, maybe that could look like, taking on that promotion or taking on additional training, learning new skills, things like that. And outside of work, let's say for your personal life, let's say you've mastered running the 5K, and so you're being called to now master the 10K. It doesn't need to be a big drastic overhaul. You could just be being asked to grow again. And so one way to differentiate between if it's just like an up level or a complete overhaul is to ask yourself if you still enjoy whatever that thing is and you still want it to be a part of your life. For example, do I still enjoy my career? Do I still enjoy work? Do I still want that to be part of my life? And if the answer is yes, then maybe you just need to up level. You just need to take on that challenge that'll help you grow again and, reinvigorate and bring some fresh energy into what you're doing. But if you aren't enjoying that thing anymore, or if you're getting this intuitive call and you just know intuitively that you're meant to be doing something else, then that may mean that you need more of an overhaul. That was the case for me. I was no longer enjoying being a 9-to-5 corporate employee, and I knew that discomfort was asking me to change careers, and I was intuitively being pulled toward being self-employed. I didn't really know what that was going to look like or where I was going to end up, but I just knew I was being pulled in that direction. So don't ignore that pebble in your shoe. That persistent discomfort is telling you something. It's telling you that something needs to change. And it's time to get out of your comfort zone and enter that new phase of growth. And you may have some success ignoring it or hoping it'll go away for some time, but usually that pebble will eventually get so loud that you can no longer ignore it. And so the first thing to do is to listen to what it is telling you. What is the problem? What is it telling you about something that needs to change in your life? And the next step after that is to have the courage to follow through on what it is telling you. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it's giving you some things to reflect on, some food for thought in your own situation. If you do find yourself feeling that constant discomfort despite where you're at in life, if your life is checking all the boxes and you're still feeling uncomfortable, then something needs to change. And I hope this is giving you some things to think about and help you to move forward on your journey. And if it has, then give the video a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that support. If you have any insights or comments that you want to leave down below, I love to hear back from you. And if you're into this type of content, then consider subscribing for weekly videos like this. And with that, I will see you next week.